Hi, this is Christy at the West Regional Branch of the Mobile Public Library, and today we're going to bring you one project done 3 ways. Thanks to my friend Jamie out at Sims, we have some beautiful watercolor papers we're going to work with. Now I have a confession. I cheated and I went ahead and did the first one for us, okay? Because it's going to take a while. So you notice that we've got "Make each day your masterpiece." It's a quote by the late basketball coach John Wooden. Now for this one, I started out with a broad tip marker in royal purple. And then when I got down to masterpiece, I did the lower half in this sort of indigo color, just to make it pop. Now here's a tip on this. Since you are doing markers on top of watercolor, there's going to be a little transparency. You may like your look transparent. I wanted it to really pop up against these bright colors, so I actually went over each of these words about 3 times. That's going to get tricky, so be careful. If you go over your words multiple times, you've got to keep those strokes really clean. Take your time. That's why I did this one ahead of time. All right, so let's look at another couple of ways we can do this same project. All right, so I've shown you the first variation of this project. Now we're going to use a smaller piece that Jamie created in a similar color palette. But this time I decided to go with our Funosuke black pen. We're going to write the same quote. This time we're going to start out in all lowercase, all right? So you've got 3 words at the top, make each day. So you want to kind of set those imaginary margins, or you can always pencil them in. Here's a caveat though. If you pencil on top of this watercolor, do it super lightly and erase very gently. It's going to be tricky, so that's why I didn't put in any margins. So we're going to wing this and hope that this goes well for us. And remember, as we've talked about with the last one, you're going to have some little ridges because of the highly textured nature of this paper, okay? So don't let that throw you. And you may want to slow down even more than you normally do as you're making your strokes so that we can get them as clean as possible. Alright, so just take your time. And unlike the last one where we talked about the fact that you're going to need to go over your words, since we're using black, 1 time should do it for us. It's going to be tricky over here in this light and dark. So that may be a case where you want to try to go back over it. It's up to you. But that seems to be the most difficult for us, is when we transition between colors on the paper. But I think you'll find that the Funosuke works really well on this. We're almost done with that top row. We're going to add a little flourish on the Y, so I stopped for you. I'm going to fake it. You swing around, so you make a big oval down here, okay? Then when it crosses, you swing back up and curl. So let's do that one more time. Big oval, go across and curl back, okay? So let's actually do it on the paper for you. Oval, swing back and make that curl. Okay, it just adds a nice simple little flourish. And I can already see I'm definitely going to want to go over that a little bit, because on top of that white it got really light. So just adjust as you go. Alright, and then we're going to try to center the word your right in the middle, and it looks like it's going to need to fall right under the word each, which works out well for us since both are 4 letters. But of course you're going to need to think about your spacing, maybe move it over just the tiniest fraction, because your letters are maybe going to be just a little wider than they would be in each. And I'm going to do something a little different this time when I connect the O to the U. Usually I just do like you would in cursive. But I found this technique. You kind of make a dot and pull it out like a little arm. Just gives a different look to it. Right. And same thing with the R. Instead of doing the loop, I'm just going to do that little push down so you get an arch. And make sure we kick him up just like we did on the H, the K, and the M. Alright? Helps to have continuity and consistency with your letters. There we go. And again, if you need to adjust and make things darker as you go, that's absolutely fine. Or you can come back at the end and do that. And then now for our most important word, which is masterpiece. So you can automatically think in your head, masterpiece is going to be almost as long as our top line. So we're probably going to start maybe just under that M, sort of between the M and the A. And we're going to add a flourish to the M. So you can make this as fancy or as simple as you like, as large or as small as you like. And mine, I'm not really going much bigger than I would on the other letters. So as we pull this M down, I'm going to stop and show you like we did with the Y. You're going to do it sort of in reverse, okay? So you're going to come down, do a loop here, and go over, and the kickback is this way, right? So here we go. Loop, drag it across, and then the kickback. So let's do it for real on the paper. Do that little kick up, okay? Just gives it a little fanciness, and then it gives it balance. We have a little symmetry. So now, back to our other letters. And they're going to be pretty vanilla, because we don't need them to compete. Make sure that your R matches the one above. I'm going to keep the same stylistic choices. Keep it really nice and fluid. Remembering to pick up between your letters. Okay. And so you can do whatever little things you need or want to touch it up as you go. Make a really swirly cross piece for that T, so that it sort of matches the others. Alright, and so that is variation number 2 of this project with our beautiful watercolors. So let's try number 3. Alright, for number 3, you'll notice we have a little different color palette. This time we have some teals, some greens, and the deep purples. And so it was a little tricky finding the right color. We're going to see if I chose well. I chose what I'm calling a mulberry, and you'll notice it kind of picks up this pinkish purple color here. We're still going to stick to a pretty basic font. I'm going to start with a capital, and we're going to do the spacing just like we did on the last one. So we're going to have make each day, and in the middle your, and then masterpiece. Alright, so let's start and see what happens here. And hopefully that is going to be a good color choice for us. Now, just like with the first project I showed you, you are most likely going to need to go over this a couple of times, because as you can see, the colors from the watercolor that Jamie made are going to bleed through our ink from our marker. So if you want it to be really dark, you're going to need to go over it. If you like it to be a little more transparent like you see right now, you can leave it that way. It's just up to your preference. But I do think we made a good decision with the color choice. Alright, so we've got make each day. We're gonna go down and swing that back up. I want that to be a little thicker. Okay, and then for your, I'm actually going to go for a printed font. So I'm going to push down, and then we're going to make a skinny line going this way. So everything to the left is going to be thicker, everything to the right is going to be really thin. Okay, and now we're going to do masterpiece. And we're going to start roughly under that other M, and we're going to bounce just a tiny bit, not much. We don't want it really over exaggerated. but it'll give it just a little movement. So we're going to drop that down. Let your T come down just a little. Let your R come down. Remember, you can change it, make it your own, change the color, change the font, do any little things you like to make it different, all right? Now, I'm not a fan of negative space, so I'm going to go ahead and add just a tiny little line there. Just sort of makes it balance and draws your attention. All right, so now you have 3 different ways you can work on the same project. Thanks for watching and have a great day.